Welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Come explore the roadmap of our shifting consciousness where self-actualization, exposing your talents and gifts is the norm. Now here's your host, Angela Blaha.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us here on the Blueprint Podcast. I'm Angela Blaha, and this is my friend and co-host Renee Keene. Hi Renee, how are you today?
Hello, I'm wonderful. I love seeing you on Mondays.
For sure.
Any day, actually, that's the truth.
All right, so we are at the birthing of the new earth. And as we've talked about before, the blueprint is literally all about the blueprint into the new consciousness, right? What's coming to my awareness in the last few days is the power of potency and speed. The idea of potency as speed is just basically swirling around the cosmos and the new earth. And when we move the new earth through the black hole, which is the birthing process, on August 6th, it should have happened immediately, but it sort of is taking its time. And I think it's all because of these two areas that I don't think we've ever really given it much time or much credit or much of anything. And literally, I think these are the two areas that we need to discuss in order for it to move through much quicker. So the power of influence is your potency. Like, how can you influence the birthing process, for example, or the uncreating of a massive fire, or using, the elements to create or alchemize whatever it is that you want to fulfill your desires immediately. And if you do it with the speed of light, or better yet, the speed of neutrinos, which is all what makes up the new earth, it makes lasting change very quickly. The blueprint into the new earth is all around adopting. In my meditation this morning, is really all around adopting these two powers, like becoming this, right? So what happens when we become potent? That's a very powerful word. And I don't think its energy has settled in to our DNA in a really, really long time, the way it looks to me. So potent, what if you became very potent in your real self, your authentic self, which is another requirement for the new earth, right? The authentic self. Your natural powers become so alive. And these powers have been literally requiring me to give up anything and everything that doesn't make me potent. For example, recently, responsibility is one of the things that has become very clear about how I am still carrying way too much responsibility for the shifting consciousness. The only responsibility I have is to my own soul and my own shifting consciousness. But, I keep trying to create programs and retreats and everything that sort of wrap around that energy. And they're not going very well. And so that brings me to, what's missing here. I don't ever look for the things that I need to release from, because I'm pretty good at releasing things, but what's missing? Like, what do I need to add to the component? And I think my own potency, my own ability to influence the consciousness is what's missing. Anyway, that's what I found. How about you, Renee?
To be really honest, had not given that any thought. Had not come into my awareness at all until you mentioned it. And I think you really have fine-tuned into a piece that isn't just for you, but it's for all of us. It's that being potent in our authentic self. Yes, we have been, we've been working on self-actualization. We have been more, yay, everyone. We have been moving in that direction. And we've been doing a really, really good job of moving in that direction. But we have not actualized, I shouldn't say we, I will speak for myself. I have not actualized the potency of my authentic self. I have totally stepped more into that than I ever have. But that potency piece, I'm going to say, it's not that I haven't, I am stepping into that, but I'm not in the fullness of it quite yet. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I know it's like right here, I can see it. And for whatever reason, I just know it's going to happen very shortly. Each day feels like there's more potency within me, but I'm still not at the fullness.
Yeah.
So I think I get what you're saying.
I think the part that holds us up is the power to influence, which is really what potency is, right? And we all have cell memory of the past, which literally brings us into, the probably when we've used our potency, we've always been destroyed because of it. And we're in this period of destruction right now, right? Breaking down the old to bring in new, more potent, and doing it with the speed of light, or speed of actualizing, right? Like taking years or months is not an option here. It's momentarily. And so I think that that's where we are sort of hesitant to like literally move deeper into the authentic self, is because if we actually become here, I'm going to use myself for example. If I actually become telepathic, which we've practiced over and over and we're very good at it, right? Telepathic communication, then the potency of that is that I have to have some clean thoughts. Like I can't have random crazy thoughts within the conscious field. I mean, I have to be very clear about what my thoughts are and what my creation of thought is, my ability to create thought. And that moves into, the mind and how the conscious mind actually operates. We won't get into that, but the potency of, being able to actually telepathically communicate, which doesn't mean that I read minds. It means that I send thought, or I send messages, or I send information through air to someone else. Is that how you see telepathic communication? Yeah. So telekinesis is another thing that I bring to the consciousness, and that is, using the mind to create whatever it is that you want. And I've been thinking a lot about that, or looking a lot at that of, okay, if I have the power to create anything just by a thought, just by an emotional thought, just by a spiritual thought, whatever it is, just using my mind to actually create something, that becomes very, like there's potency in that. But my hesitancy is, well, I've done that in the past because I have a memory of creating mountains. And if I can do that again, how does that affect all of consciousness? Because I'm looking at a 360 viewpoint here, and then energy comes in of the saving paradigm of, you being worshipped, of all this crazy crap, all that old stuff. But yet here we are in the verge of creating a new consciousness, or a more unified field of consciousness. And if we're not actually using our potency, our authentic self, which for me is telekinesis, then I'm not actually serving the new world, the new earth.
Hear you.
Right.
And I look at what you said earlier about the power to influence, which is our potency. that power to influence, how do I best use that right now in this present moment, each and every day, moving, whatever spot I'm in. And I'll really work on that and really I feel like I'm being an influencer. Then all of a sudden it's like I want to go hide at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm not all the way there. I know in my being, there's something about I like to work in the background.
Mm-hmm.
I like to work on different things, but somehow I need to work and become clearer. I mean, I am clear on who I am. It's the piece about letting others know who I am,
Mm-hmm.
about being that totally visual influencer piece.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I think, where I get stuck.
Yeah,
It's
the
like
potency of who you are.
Yes, yeah.
Being
It's
seen
just
and
like
heard for who you are.
Mhm, mhm. And I have gotten better. There isn't better or worse. I have stepped more fully into that. I I know there's another step and I can just feel it and I know it's right there. I was laughing because one of my clients said that her significant other, and I can't remember what he referred to me as. I don't know if he called me the white witch or what he called me, something with witch in it. And it didn't make me mad at all. I started laughing. I said, "Do you really call me that?" And she said, "Yes." So I know I am stepping into that because I'm actually being seen, because I don't take witch as a bad word. To me, that means you're actually alchemizing, you're actually creating, you're actually moving into who you are,
Right.
the abilities that you have. So that's not a threat to me. But I just giggled because I thought, oh, he actually sees who I am.
Yeah, for sure.
So I know I'm getting there, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
There's still work to do.
Well, yeah, we have those wounds, right, that we are carrying around. And I think that this is part of the responsibility of, we talk a lot about birthing the new earth, the new consciousness. We are the new earth. We are the new consciousness. There's not like the earth is going to have we're not going to have a brand new earth over there in the cosmic field someplace, right? That's not happening. That's not part of the deal here. We are the new earth and we are birthing our new selves. Like literally, when we become potent and we do it with the speed of neutrinos or the speed of light or the speed of sound, whatever speed you want to use, that is when we could say we've been birthed. I feel like that's the whole, like I just gotta, yeah, that's exactly right.
Yep.
When we can use these two powers and literally become these two powers and use them to alchemize anything that we want, every single desire will be fulfilled immediately.
Yeah.
Because we'll be collapsing time, right? We'll be using, the power, the potency of the power. And that's another thing. Like we talk about power a lot, right? Like we really need to know our own power, how to be powerful beings. Well, that's just your authenticity. I mean, that's where your power comes from, is you being your own natural soul self that knows exactly who you are, and you don't deny it, right? Like you don't use any of the games of humanity to deny who you are. When we actually step into that, we become very potent. It's not like the other way around. Like we can embody our potency and then we use our power. It's when you know exactly, when you're very, very clear about who you are, I feel like that's when the potency comes. And you don't use any of the games of humanity to sort of doubt it or worry about it or anxiety or any of those kinds of things. Or, we don't create any worthiness issues. We don't bring up the past to, fluff around in that energy or to waste time in that energy. We're very precise. That's where alchemy, that's how you can alchemize anything. If you become, who you are, and then the potency of that can alchemize anything because you know how to collapse time and you know how to fulfill every single desire immediately. Like there's no time and space that exists in that frequency.
It's instantaneous.
That's the birthing that we're talking about, right? Like that's where I feel the birthing comes to actualization, is in that moment, in that energy, in that field of frequencies.
And I want to look at the word that we've been using, the word power.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of people, that word in and of itself resonates differently than the way we're talking about it. Power isn't, when I say power, when I use power, when Angela uses power, it's not about domination. It's not about control.
Right.
It is completely and totally about your own ability to self-actualize, to know what your strengths, what you have, the abilities. That's the kind of power that I'm talking about. That's what Angela's talking about. That power. It's not the power to manipulate. It's not the power to control. So be very clear when you're listening to people talk about power, their power, your power, where that comes from. There are different ways to view it. Power is not always manipulative and controlling.
Right.
Can be, has been for a significant portion of my life. It no longer is that way because I'm claiming my power.
Yeah.
It's not my power over you. It's not my power over my husband, my children. That's not the power I'm claiming. I'm claiming my own power. Mine.
Your own personal power.
My personal power. Right. And I'm not claiming that in order to take from anyone else. Right. I'm only claiming mine. And I think that's what you're saying we really need to step into.
Yeah. Your own sovereignty, right? Like that's all that women have ever wanted, I think. Well, especially since the hierarchy came into existence here. But I think that that's really what women are looking for, particularly right now, is sovereignty, our ability to make our own decisions and to have full 100% control of our own personal power. Mm-hmm. And when we claim that, we become very potent. And the world is not, that's where we frighten the world.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And I think that's where we frighten ourselves.
Sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I think that well, we know that the feminine energy are the ones who are shifting the consciousness. We are the ones that are creating the new earth, but we're not, but I think that we have past memory, of course, of being in power in that feminine kind of energy. And that's not where we're headed. We're not here to dominate, control, and manipulate. We've already, those two avenues of third dimension have already been played out. We are here for a more unified, balanced, I don't know if that's a correct word, but a more balanced, unified field of consciousness where there's an equality that happens in the masculine, feminine, divine masculine, all the areas where there's an androgynous kind of energy that comes in that says we're all sort of equal. And when we can make that shift, when the feminine energy can make that shift into the androgynous energy field, that is where the potency, that's the new earth, that's the new shift in consciousness. That is where the power of personal power becomes very, very, I don't even know the words, influential. I wanted to say very, I can't remember the word. It becomes very influential because we can make dynamic changes in that kind of potency, in that kind of energy. And new creations come out of potency. Right? New creation comes out of that shift in consciousness. Man, if we can adapt, embody potency of our own natural self, where we are the most powerful influencers over ourselves. That's really all that we're looking for here. We're the most powerful influencer of ourselves. We're not talking about influencing the rest of the world. When you become a powerful influencer of yourself, it changes the consciousness. That right there is what will change the consciousness.
It will. Mm-hmm. What I really think is awesome about what you said is we are the influencer of ourselves. We are the being that is coming into our own, actually unifying with ourself in order so that we might unify with all. Yeah. Which then is the allowing of each woman, each man, each child, each being on this earth to become their own influencer, to become their own self. And not everybody's going to do it the way I do it.
Right.
So to allow others to become their own and to allow me to step into my fullness.
That's where each one of our responsibility lies. Yes. Now, can we search out teachers of that? Of course. Right? We can search out people to help us. And I think that that's what we're sort of looking for, those people right now in the conscious field, right? Of who knows the blueprint to get to where we're going, right? Like, who knows that? And I think that that's what I feel like we're sort of just waiting back, looking around, saying, who's going to take charge here?
Because that's been our natural way of doing things.
It has.
It has. And it's not that way anymore.
No.
Or it doesn't have to be that way anymore.
Right.
I'm choosing not that.
Right. Because the only one that you can influence is yourself. I mean, that's the field of, that's a unified field of, of a conscious state where masculine and feminine within yourself is equal. I mean, can you feel the potency of that? You should be able to feel the potency of that alone, right? Like, that's potent power.
And I agree that there are times when you need to look to someone else to ask for a little guidance, maybe, or a little something you perchance haven't thought of. Just as today, when you mentioned this, I had not given that avenue any thought. Am I working on that? Have I been? Yes, but this is a fuller view of what that looks like. It's more potent. I understand it more completely. That's why it's okay to, in my view, okay to look to other people, because they're going to spur you on. They're going to potentially give you another view in which you can say, oh, wow, I hadn't thought about it that way. Is that where I'm moving closer to? Is that who I am? Yeah. Or, no, you still get to be the person. You get to decide for yourself how you're going to do it.
Yeah. I think the old way of finding a teacher, and then what you would do was you would find a teacher and then you would walk that path.
Or idolize them. Yeah.
Right. I think the new experience is you find a teacher, they activate you, and then you create your own path.
Yes.
Right. Which is what we're doing today with the potency and speed and all this kind of thing. Is like, okay, if I become very potent in who I am, who can I activate? Like, that becomes the new. It's like, wait, yes. Can I activate my own kids? Can I activate my business? What can I activate? Because now you're not projecting your viewpoint or your timeline or your whatever it is, your emotions,
goals, whatever. It's not
right
on anybody else.
You're not projecting any longer. You're seeing them as equals, and you're saying, "Oh, here's your activation. I This is what you get.
Yep. Yep.
And then you get to explore whatever that activation is.
That looks like, yep. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's very freeing.
It is a new world.
It is a new world.
It is a new world.
Yeah. It's very freeing. And it can collapse time. I think that that's the essential component as well for the new earth is there's no time and space existence. It's a period of I desire this and then collapsing the time to actually having it immediately. I think that's going to take a little bit of a learning growth the way it looks to me.
Definitely, yeah.
Because we are so embedded in time, and time like literally lives in our DNA. So I think it feels like to me that once we move into that neutrino kind of energy, we can collapse time much more easily, but it's the whole moving from, you know, from light package to neutrino package is like, what?
Very different.
It is.
And it will, I'm just gonna say it's a whole new process. So for each and every one of us, how we move into that process is going to look a little differently. Some are going to be like you, cliff jumper, and they're going to be there.
Yeah, it's very fast. When you collapse time, you have to be like ready for the collapse of time. You know, and if we're still carrying wounds, or if we're still carrying, you know, damaged DNA or whatever it is, it's harder to collapse time. That's what I know for sure about time. Yeah.
It's a new process.
Yeah, for sure. But it's
I love working with neutrinos.
Yes.
I do.
Mm-hmm. Anything else to add about potency and speed? I feel like we need to be comfortable in speed. You know, humanity is very comfortable in the slow moving experience.
Yep.
Like it moves very, very slow. And I'm sure that we need to evaluate or even to open up into what it would look like to move in a faster, more, you know, collapsing of time kind of energy field. Because we're used to moving very slowly.
Well, and I think in the overall picture, it's even more slow than many of us comprehend. I've never been a slow person. In fact, people have always been like, slow down, slow down. You're talking too fast, you're moving too fast, you're going to burn out. I was told that when I was like 20, you're going to burn out. Well, no. Right. I just can see, I get the speed thing. And that's why it may take us a little longer, just because it is for many, 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 many people such a complete change in the way things process or the way they happen. So they do need to know that they need to be ready. If I'm going to have this, it's going to happen speed. It's happening in speed. It's not, well, I can think about it for 6 months and think I might want that. And I can look at it and see what the interest rates do or whatever you're looking at. No, if you have a desire, if you have something you really desire and want, you can have it very quickly.
Yes.
Be ready for it, however. Be ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'll. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, sometimes what you think you desire may not always be exactly what you desire. And when you get it, it's kind of too late to know that it's not. So be very clear is what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. Well, I think that that's where telepathy has helped us because we're very, very like, no, this is what I really want. How it shows up, I'm not so much concerned with how it gets created or the creation of it. But there has to be like, it's very clear, this is really what I want, you know? So that has to clean up. You have to clean your mind up. You have to clean your thinking up, and your emotions. I think that's where we get stuck. That's where the stuckness comes in. Is we sort of play around in that for eons, thinking that we can find it outside of ourselves, and it's just inside. It's all
Right
inside.
here. Right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a very good point, Angela, about the speed. Mhm.
Yeah. It's speed is we're used to driving in cars, not personal aircraft. We're not ready for the Jetsons speed yet. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think that sums it all up. Feel free to move into your potency and use speed to collapse time. And let's move into the new earth, because I'm totally ready for the transition here.
Yes.
Yeah.
The time is now.
Yes, for sure. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you next week.
Thank you for being with us today. To find out more about Angela, visit her website at www.angelablaha.com.